Hello, one and all, and welcome to the channel, to the stream, and to the page. Um, for those of you currently watching the stream, don't be alarmed. I'm just recording my Week 6 Respawn Recruits Challenge video on where we're supposed to teach someone something we enjoy, or a how-to instructional video. Today, I will be telling people how to play Total War. Now, I'm going to be playing Total War Warhammer 3 and as a specific faction, and there's a lot of minute details that go in and out of that, but the concepts I'm going to go over will be transferable across multiple Total War titles. The most important thing is just remember that it's not necessarily for Total War Warhammer 3, but rather the Total War series itself, which is sort of a loosely connected series of large-scale battles and city management games. Particularly Total War Warhammer 3 set in a fantasy realm similar to the Warhammer 40k universe, but it's the Warhammer fantasy universe. So you'll hear of the Chaos Gods, but there won't be any Space Marines. If you've played Warhammer Vermintide 2, it's more closely related to that. Anyways, we have loaded into the game, and we are playing Valkia the Bloody. She is a servant of Khorne, more like a demoness. She has tattered wings and can fly, and she has a giant spear and a demon shield. Anyways, without any further ado, let's get into it. You get an intro message, and I'll go over city management quickly, but this video is primarily going to be about battling. You have city-based buildings that provide, economy and growth and other advantages, and then you have military buildings that provide different units that you can recruit and then bring into battle. Every Total War game, you'll start off with your lord, maybe a hero or two. I typically embed my hero immediately just so that they can level up quickly, and then a starting army to attack so you can get a feel for the game and try out an easy battle, which is what we're going to do here. So we're going to fight this. Typically, you can just auto-resolve these battles. That means your computer will fight their computer. It'll all be auto-resolved, and then it's a lot quicker. But for the sake of teaching y'all a thing or two, let's get into it. Now, you get a little preview screen here that'll show the enemy units you're attacking as well as the units of your own, and we'll go over each unit as quickly as we can. We don't have too much time in this video, but we should have enough to display the game mechanics as well as show off some of the units and their animations. But as we get in, the key part of here is going to be your lords and heroes. So Caladriel is the enemy team's hero. Valkia is mine with this random lord. You'll always see sort of the main character of each army will be the first unit displayed. And they'll have their health bar and then their unit type. So this is a Chaos Lord. She is our sort of army leader, so she gets that little star. And then each unit will have a little icon above it showing what it is. So each icon obviously is melee. This is cavalry or monstrous shock cavalry. And then we have Valkia herself, which is your king and queen in chess. She is your end-all be-all. She is your strongest unit and your most powerful, but you got to be careful because if she goes down, it'll affect the morale or leadership of your entire army. Now, as Khorne, you are primarily going to be melee only. So what I usually do as Khorne is just get them all in a row, send them all forward. Now, since they do have some ranged units, and you can tell if the unit is ranged because they'll have a third bar, which is their ammunition bar, and show how many arrows, bolts, shells, shots, whatever they have left. And they have some swordsmen and some spearmen as well, and then, of course, the leader. Now, the real thing you have to be careful about when playing any Total War game is troop management. Now, what that means is basically aligning your troops with the proper alternative unit. So I don't want to send cavalry or my warhounds against spears. They are anti-large. shielded, and they have a charge defense against large foes. I'd much rather send my dual weapon axe marauders in there to shred them up and take them down. Same with all of these guys. I'm sending them at their front lines immediately. So you just line them up. I have it set in slow motion, so I have time to think and coordinate and strategize. But what I want to do with my cavalry now is send them to the back behind them to flank. Since they don't have any cavalry, they cannot protect their flanks. They are going to be exposed. So while the archers will get a couple of volleys in, especially on my main leader, I rush her through and hopefully start doing some damage to their leader as well. But as we get our cavalry on their flank, we're going to send them in to their archers. Archers are incredibly susceptible to highly mobile units. Mobile units are going to be your cavalry, your warhounds, even lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. You can judge a unit's speed by just clicking on them and going to their speed. Now, we're going to break down at least one units. We'll go to our main gal here. And break these down. So armor, fairly self-explanatory. It's how much damage she can deal, and it's currently at a base value of 94. You'll start to see these numbers fluctuate as she enters and leaves combat, mainly because each part of combat will have different buffs and nerfs, and that will affect her. So her leadership's currently being affected because she's attacked on her flank and exposed. She just got charging, so it's gonna swap a lot. But either way, we'll keep going down the list. Leadership is basically a unit's morale. If that drops below a certain number or hits 0, the unit will break and retreat. Potentially, they can regroup and come back to the fight, but that is not common for these armies. Once a unit starts to waver and break, they don't typically come back. But when they do, they can then get back in the fight. We already went over speed a little bit, so no need to go over it again, I don't think, just how fast a unit moves. Melee attack is how strong they're going to be in a fight. She currently out-melees their melee defense by a significant margin, close to double. So this Wizard Lord is currently getting obliterated by Valkia because she's primarily melee and focuses on melee combat. As we see her use her spear, which is technically Sleipnir, but you'll get the actual spear itself later. And I just love the animations in this game. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Weapon strength and melee defense. Well, melee defense is basically, again, it assists with armor and how much absorption of melee damage you can take. The higher the melee defense, the longer you can last in battle in melee combat like this. Weapon strength, how strong and how heavy your weapon's hitting. This can be modded with different weapon attachments and everything else, but that's later in the game. This is just to focus on battle. She has a 598 weapon strength, so she's going to do a lot of melee damage as a good duelist. Charge bonus is just the initial impact. It increases the unit's melee damage and attack and damage when charging. That's essentially what the charge bonus does. You're going to want to look on that for your cavalry. Like, the Skull Crushers, our monstrous shock cavalry, have an 86. Valkia only has a 40. So, again, to each their own. Each unit is going to act a little differently. But again, you see how effective our army is currently fighting against theirs. Granted, they're currently, I'd say, these are lesser units than the ones that they're currently going up against, and they're outnumbered, so they're going to get overwhelmed. But again, if I had sent my cavalry against their spearmen, it would be a lot different. Even low-tier spear infantry can annihilate cavalry. But at the end of the day, as long as you send infantry to infantry, cav against their weaker units or against other cav, your leaders to target their leaders, and this is for most Total War games, you either send your leader to attack their leaders or to support a weaker unit of infantry, or to flank themselves. But like I said, they're your strongest unit. You're going to want to protect them. But that's really the basics. Infantry to infantry, cav to cav, and archers, leaders to leaders. and so on and so forth. Now, I don't have a lot of time to break down each individual unit of every different faction type across every Total War game, but across most Total War games, that's going to help you out. That's going to help you out a lot. So try to take down spearmen quickly so you can get your cavalry through to eliminate their weaker units. Target their weaker leaders with your duelists and your melee specialists and your support characters. And then utilize your secondary or your tertiary, like monsters, cavalry, mobile units to really do some damage. That's the gist of playing Total War. We won the battle and we won the day. But I just want to say thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you hopefully for my Week 7 challenge. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.